Have you ever felt drained after spending time with someone, even if they seemed nice at first? Or maybe you found yourself constantly apologizing, doubting your feelings, or walking on eggshells in a friendship or even a romantic relationship. If that sounds familiar, you might have encountered emotional manipulation. Today, we're diving into how to recognize it, protect yourself, and build healthier connections so you can finally reclaim your peace of mind. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what red flags to watch for and what to do when you spot them. Understanding emotional manipulation. First, let's define emotional manipulation. It's when someone tries to control your feelings or behavior, often subtly, to serve their own needs. Unlike an argument or disagreement, manipulation isn't about fairness, it's about power. Some common tactics include guilt tripping, gaslighting, playing the victim, or giving you the silent treatment. The tricky part? It's often subtle, and it can even feel like the other person cares, but their care comes with a price: your emotional energy. So how do you spot it before it drains you? Red flags to watch for. Here are a few key red flags. First, constant guilt. If every choice you make seems to upset them or make you a bad friend or a bad partner, that's a warning sign. Second, gaslighting. If you're often questioning your memory, your perception, or your feelings, someone may be manipulating your reality. Third, extreme highs and lows. Manipulators can be overly charming one moment, then cold or distant the next, keeping you off balance and craving approval. And finally, isolation. If they subtly pressure you to spend less time with others or make you feel like no one else understands you, that's a tactic to increase their control over your life. Notice a pattern? Manipulation often feels like a roller coaster, exciting at first, exhausting over time. Protecting yourself. Now that we know the signs, let's talk about protecting yourself. Step 1. Trust your feelings. If something feels off, it probably is. Step 2. Set boundaries. It's okay to say no, limit contact, or step back without feeling guilty. Healthy relationships don't demand constant compromise of your emotions. Step 3. Document your experiences. Sometimes writing down events, conversations, or feelings helps you see patterns you might otherwise dismiss. Step 4. Seek outside perspective. Friends, family, or even a therapist can help you evaluate the relationship with clarity without the emotional clouding that manipulators create. Of course, awareness alone isn't always enough. You also need a strategy for interacting with manipulators when they show up. Strategies when manipulation occurs. Responding calmly is key. Avoid being defensive or drawn into arguments. They feed the manipulator's need for control. Use neutral statements like, "I hear you, but I need to think about this." And remember, distance is not defeat. Sometimes the healthiest choice is to step away, temporarily or permanently. Protecting your mental and emotional health should always be the priority. Sometimes emotional manipulators don't even realize they're manipulating. They've learned it as a habit or coping mechanism. But the effect on you is real, and that's what matters. It's important to distinguish between someone having a bad day and someone repeatedly creating patterns that make you feel small, guilty, or insecure. A useful approach is to ask yourself, does this relationship leave me feeling energized or drained? Am I constantly justifying their behavior or my own? If you notice a pattern of exhaustion or self-doubt, it's a signal that boundaries are necessary. Let's talk about subtle manipulation that often slips under the radar. One common tactic is over-flattery. At first, it feels good to receive praise and attention, but manipulators can use this to create dependency. They'll make you feel special, then withdraw affection or approval to keep you chasing it. Recognizing this cycle is key. Another tactic is emotional triangulation. This is when someone brings in a third party, like another friend or family member, to validate their perspective, make you feel guilty, or pressure you into agreement. It's a clever way to manipulate without directly confronting you. So how do you protect yourself from these more subtle forms of manipulation? 1. Keep your perspective grounded. Check in with yourself. What do I really feel? What do I truly want? 2. Communicate openly and assertively. You don't have to argue or justify yourself. Simply stating your boundaries is powerful. For example, if a friend says, "You never spend time with me, you don't care about me," instead of reacting emotionally, you can respond, "I do value our friendship, but I also need time for myself. Let's plan a time that works for both of us." This acknowledges the relationship without letting guilt control your response. It's also crucial to cultivate a strong support system. Manipulators often target people who feel isolated or unsupported. Friends, mentors, or a trusted therapist can give you clarity and reassurance. They help you see situations objectively so you don't get trapped in a cycle of doubt and self-blame. Now, let's consider dating specifically. Emotional manipulation in romantic relationships can start subtly, controlling your schedule, influencing your decisions, or making you feel lucky for their attention. Over time, it can escalate into more obvious patterns of control or emotional abuse. A key strategy here is to notice early warning signs and take them seriously. Don't ignore small red flags thinking they'll go away. Manipulation rarely disappears without intervention or a clear boundary being set. Pay attention to how conflicts are handled. Are disagreements resolved with mutual respect, or do they consistently leave you questioning yourself? Self-reflection is also a powerful tool. Ask yourself why certain behaviors trigger strong emotional responses. Sometimes manipulators exploit insecurities you may already have. Understanding your triggers helps you respond calmly rather than react impulsively, which reduces the manipulator's control. Another practical tip is to keep an emotional journal. Write down interactions that felt uncomfortable, confusing, or guilt-inducing. Seeing patterns over time makes it easier to make informed decisions, rather than relying solely on your immediate emotional response. Remember, saying no doesn't make you a bad friend or partner. Boundaries are not punishments, they're a way to protect your energy, maintain your self-respect, and preserve your mental health. Healthy relationships honor these boundaries naturally, without constant testing or guilt. Sometimes, the most empowering action is stepping away, even temporarily. Distance allows perspective. It gives you space to heal, evaluate, and decide if the relationship is worth maintaining under new terms. And if someone truly cares about you, they'll respect that space. Manipulation often thrives on secrecy and ambiguity. By bringing clarity through open communication, honest self-reflection, and firm boundaries, you reduce the manipulator's power. Transparency and self-awareness are your best tools. Finally, it's worth noting that not all relationships are meant to last. Some people are lessons, not lifelong connections. Recognizing manipulation early allows you to avoid prolonged emotional damage and focus on nurturing relationships that are reciprocal and supportive. Emotional manipulation can happen to anyone, but recognizing it is the first step toward freedom. Trust your instincts, set your boundaries, and surround yourself with people who uplift rather than drain you. Take a moment today to reflect, are your friendships and relationships energizing you, or quietly taking from you? Awareness is power, and taking action is your way to protect your peace. Remember, your emotional well-being isn't negotiable. Stand firm, and watch your connections transform into the positive, supportive relationships you deserve. If this video helped you spot the signs, share it with someone who might need it, and take control of your emotional world, one boundary at a time.